Hello everyone, welcome to deKode with IIITR, where we sit with leaders, change makers, and learn about their life. I'm your host Saran Sharma, and today we have Dr. Vishwas Mehta, an retired IAS officer who has secured an All India rank 9 and has a 40 years of experience in civil services. We are happy to have him as our professor of practice in IIIT Raichur, and we are happy to have him as our guest in this podcast. So let's dive in. Once again, welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Saransh, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Saransh.
Okay. Sir, coming from Dungarpur, what are the experience or values from your childhood which have been with you and continue to guide your path even now?
See, uh, Dungapur is a very small backward district of Rajasthan, in the southern part of Rajasthan. I I was born there. My father was born there. Mother was born there, and we belong to a pretty ordinary family there. It's a backward district. It's a tribal district, even though we are not from tribal background. So a small community who mainly are engaged in teaching is staying there, and they have not prospered much because they are traditionally involved into temple worship and temple pujas, etc. But after all this was stopped, they gradually shifted to education levels. Mostly after their studies, they became teachers in the schools and colleges. Mostly schools, because even the college, degree college in Dungapur district came very, very late. So the thing which I uh, imbibed in my childhood, even though we shifted after my 5 years age or so, we shifted to Chandigarh because my father got a job there. But subsequently, after many years, during my 8th standard, I came back to Dungapur and studied there once again because when my father had gone abroad, and that is the time when I realized that how beautiful this small community lives together, how they celebrate their functions, how they value the traditions and culture, and how the weddings and the other celebrations are organized in a traditional way, how they carry out their festivities, their music, and how the community festivals happen, how community dining happens. So it was very interesting, and I could observe that, and it gave me very deep insights into the rich cultural heritage of our community, as well as the core strength of our culture, which basically shapes your personality, and that helped me later on.
Sir, when did the dream of joining IAS come to your mind? And what was it about public services that attracted you towards it?
You'll be surprised that I never thought of joining an IAS. That was not my target, or perhaps I thought that it is very difficult, it is beyond my reach to become an IAS. I had never met an IAS officer because as I told you, I belong to a very ordinary family, and they had seen a lot of struggles even for completing their educations. So I was lucky that I was brought up in Chandigarh, so I got good education. I had done my graduation, post graduation in science, in geology, earth sciences, and I had already joined the oil company, Oil and Natural Gas Commission, that time. I was happy with that because they were giving me good salary. I was going around all over the country working on the oil rigs. First time I had seen a flight, and you are staying in good hotels. They are giving you good allowances. I was happy. I always thought writing an IAS exam will be too difficult because it requires a lot of hard work. But my father was after me. He said, "You are good academically. Why didn't you try civil services?" So just to please him, I wrote the civil services exam. in 1985. And to my surprise, I found that after the exam, I got the interview call while I was working in ONGC. And so I really thank God that without any preparation, I got interview call also. So God has been kind that it has given me a chance to even uh, see the UPSC board. So I attended, but without any expectations, honestly. And I forgot also. After the interview, I forgot about it because I never expected. I had not prepared for it, so I was not expecting any results. So I thought maybe next year I'll prepare for one full year and then prepare better and then appear for the exam. This whole process takes 1 year. So after the interview call, suddenly one fine day around, I had slept around 4 o'clock. I used to study late in the night and get up late. So the civil service exam for the next year was due after 1 week. So result came just 1 week before that. So there was a loud knock on the my door, and one of my colleagues woke me up saying that IAS result has come. Have you checked your result? I said, no. Where is the newspaper? I said, I don't have a newspaper. Then both of us went out and we bought two newspapers. One newspaper had roll numbers, another had names. So both of us sat together and we were reading the newspaper. I told him go from the bottom, not from the top, because I was not actually expecting to be selected, honestly. I said it will be surprised if I get figure anywhere in this list. About 600, 700 names of different services. IAS is on the top, police service, income tax, railway, traffic services, audit account services, postal services, excise services, group B services, union territory services, Andaman Nicobar, etc., etc. A lot of services. 200 services are there. So I started looking from top, 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 top. No, name was not to be seen anywhere. And this guy was also going, from the bottom. And suddenly around 186 or so, my name was there, my roll number was there. And in between, when I just looked at this guy, he was sweating. And this fellow had not even appeared in the exam. So I was wondering, I have no expectation from this exam. This guy is sweating, why? And then I realized later on that he had appeared 3 times and he had failed. So he was sweating. He is still a good friend of mine. He retired from ONGC as an executive director. But I realized 186 rank means I was already in IPS. Because first 100 rank will become IAS and next 100 to 200 rank will generally get IPS.
Right.
Because first rank, first option, second preference, third is income tax usually. Some people go into foreign services. So I was surprised. We quickly looked at the number of vacancies and I saw I was selected in IPS by fluke. I had not prepared for it. I had never expected, and I was in already in IPS. So anyhow, the news spread in the whole of ONGC, whole of office. Everybody started looking at me as if it's a, I don't know. Suddenly, that's the way of looking at you changes. I went to the office and they were all congratulating me and all that. And then next year, again, I wrote the exam. I took leave from ONGC. But this time, I prepared very, very hard. 3 months, I must tell you that I did not see sunrise or sunset. I don't know where my friends were. I hardly ate. I hardly went out of the house. All I did was to study, 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 study. That's all. And let me tell you, it was not so much of, it was more of a desperation to come out of police. If without efforts, if I can come into the police service, with some efforts, why not try to come into the first 100? That was my only goal. So I think 17 to 18 hours a day I used to study, sleep hardly. 3 months I didn't go out, didn't meet anybody, no television, nothing. There were no internet, there were no mobile phones those days. There was no laptop, no computers. So no distractions, only television was the only distraction, or friends were distraction. So everything I forgot. But honestly telling you, I really got fed up. After 3 months, I wrote in my diary. I used to write every day how many hours I have studied. So even if I go for a cup of tea or for lunch, I used to note down. Oh, it was not more than 13 to 14 hours a day. Even if you sleep, even if you take food, taking bath, half an hour for again rest. It was not 13 to 14 hours, but 14 hours of quality study, not quantity. It was very intensive study. But I was fed up after three, 3 months. I wrote the exam, and in the last day, the diary is still with me, in which I wrote freedom from the self-imposed exile of 3 long months. And I had decided that time that I will not take third attempt. Because if after this much effort, if I cannot get into first 100, then it is perhaps my destiny to continue in police. I will continue with IPS because I was already selected for IPS. So I wrote this in my diary, decided I will not take a third attempt. That was the only attempt left. Only 3 attempts were allowed those days. And uh, after 1 week or so, I went and joined the police academy in Hyderabad. And then the interview call came, and then again after interview from police academy, I went and attended the interview. And after when the results came, I was surprised to see that I had almost topped the UPSC. I had reached ninth rank. There were only 8 people above me. I was in the first 10 people in UPSC securing ninth rank in IAS, which even in my wildest dreams I had never imagined. Never imagined. So miracles happen, but as I always tell, that it cannot happen without efforts. Since I had put in so much effort, my expectations were high also. But I thought that I may not be able to reach it. But ultimately, I reached. When you want something desperately, it can happen. But it cannot happen just by thinking unless you put an effort. That is how I landed in IAS.
Sir, how was your first day when you joined as an IAS officer?
See, all of us are asked to first report in the IAS Academy in Mussoorie. So, Dehradun and Mussoorie was not very far off. In between, I went to Chandigarh from Dehradun and brought few things and then went to Mussoorie. Mussoorie IAS Academy, 600, 700 officers join, which belong to various services. You are trained for almost 1 year there. If you are a science graduate, you will be trained on public administration, on laws, in IPC, CRPC, you will be taught languages, you will be taught about management, accountants, everything, political science, anything you can think of, constitution, law, everything you can imagine will be taught. There are teachers who teach you everything. After this, there are also a lot of group exercises. You visit to villages, visit to tribal areas, you have trekking routes, you have sports every day, you have jogging, you have a whole lot of group activities because you are young and their idea is to mix between different, you know, and inculcate to you the officer like habits. There are a lot of VIPs who visit the academy. Very senior IAS officers come, president comes, sometimes prime minister comes, chief of army staff will come, very big constitutional experts will come. They speak to the probationers. So you are exposed to all this for 1 year. There are regular exams which you have to clear. After that, you are allotted a state. I was allotted Kerala. So in Kerala, when the first day I went, I was a trainee. 1 year under training, you have to be under the district collector. So district collector or deputy commissioner. So you are called the assistant collector under training. You have no powers, but 1 year you have attached with the collector. But there is a schedule for that. That 1 week you will spend with the district supply officer, 1 week with the superintendent of police, 1 week with the district session judge, 1 week with the tahsildar, 1 week with the revenue inspector, 1 week with patwari. Then you will be sent to the management institute. Like that, one entire 1 year is already decided in the district. Then you have to learn the languages of the local place. I am from Rajasthan, so I have to start learning Malayalam. So this was happening. First day when I went in a district called Koilon, my collector was Mr. C.V. Anand Bose, who is presently the governor of West Bengal. He is the governor of West Bengal right now. He was my collector. So when I landed there, he had sent his car and I met him in the guest house. After talking to for 5-10 minutes, he offered me a cup of tea, welcomed me. He said, "Your guest house room is booked. But before that, you travel with me. I have to visit few places." I said, "All right." Actually, most of the time you're traveling with the collector in the same car because interaction with him, seeing him attend the meeting, visiting field is where we actually learned. These are field visits because theoretical training already you have seen in the academy. So first day after meeting him, he takes me to a village which is about 1 hour drive from there. And then suddenly a river comes, so a boat is arranged, a Tasildar is waiting there. We cross the river and go to another village, and we find that there are two people who have died due to flooding. So, on behalf of the government, we give respect to the dead, to the family, and two dead bodies we lay wreath, and then visit the other house and give some compensation because government had a scheme. So, like that, two bodies, dead bodies, I saw that. When we came back, while coming back to the district headquarters, the collector got a message that the Tasildar of another taluk had had a jeep accident and he has died. So from there we rushed to that place. This is something which is in IAS. Every day you have a crisis. You can't plan your day actually. You can plan a meeting and suddenly something happens, you have to leave. So we rushed to that spot and we saw that Tasildar had already died. And we made arrangements for the vehicle to be removed and his did postmortem and all that, hand over the body. He was part of a team, one who has died. So I came back home pretty late, around 10:30, back to the guest house. And my first day had started with three dead bodies. So this, for a young boy of 24 years who has entered the service, can be very traumatic. That if this is the day you have, and what will be the second day like? What will be third day like? So it is very very unpredictable. It is like throwing you know swimming or you don't know swimming, but you are thrown in water. So either you swim or you drown. But it's pretty challenging. Pretty challenging. Yes.
Sir, having worked in both rural and urban districts, how did you adapt to their different challenges?
See, the, the beauty about civil services is that there's a lot of public interaction. Everybody comes to you with some problem or the other. It's not your problem, their problem, and they expect you to solve it. Now, the problem could be relating to land disputes. Problem could be relating to some infrastructure issues. They don't have a road to their place. Problem could be that I don't have, uh, I cannot afford hospital visits, or the hospital I visit, doctor is not there. If doctor is there, medicine is not there. Or they will have a problem that I don't have electricity in my house. Or you will have a problem that I don't have a road to my place. Or I don't have enough money. I need a scholarship. Thousands of things which you can imagine day to day life are always there. So I didn't know the language, in fact, because I am from Rajasthan. I was still learning. So initial my first posting as sub-divisional magistrate, sub-collector, I started keeping a boy from my office who could speak little bit of English. So anybody who will come to meet me, there are hundreds of petitioners who come to you every day with petitions written in Malayalam. And if I start reading the petition, it will take me 1 hour because you are not fluent with that. And they are written in hand, manuscript, so it's not easy to read it. So the best is to talk to them. And when you talk to them, you try to understand that what is his problem, and then you ask him for certain questions. Now the language is a big issue because I didn't know. I couldn't speak fluently. What he's speaking, I cannot understand. What I am speaking, he cannot understand. So this clerk, he was interpreting. He was telling him this is what his guy is telling, and what I am responding or my questions to him, he is telling to him. This is how we started learning Malayalam. Now there are only three ways to deal with problem, a problem which this guy has come. Either you do it if it can be done, otherwise tell him how to do it, how it can be done, or third is that it cannot be done. Simple as that. There are only three options available to you. But then you have another 50 people waiting outside. They are also waiting for their turn. So second guy comes, he has some other set of problems. You may not have solutions. But then half the time by listening to them, listening to their grievances, they feel good that at least there is somebody to listen to me. At least my petition will be looked after. So petition, you pass some remarks, ask for a report of Tasildar and all that. So this is how we started learning the language. So most of the field assignments, you have a lot of field visits. You are visiting the colonies, you are conducting meetings, you are meeting people, you are listening to their grievances. But one of the most surprising thing I saw about my first postings in Kerala was that every on day-to-day basis there used to be dharnas and processions and slogan shouting outside my office on small things. A colony, some people, 10, 15, 100 people come, they stand in front of my office and they're shouting slogans. And then two or three of them will come with a memorandum saying that we have following set of demands. So you listen to them. Sometimes individual petitioners come, sometimes a group of people come. So I remember that first time a group came and met me like this. Their issue was that their electricity to their village is not connected. It was about 1 kilometer away or half a kilometer away. So I wrote to the electricity authority and I pursued it. In 2 3 months it took. And finally, the line was extended to their village. They were very happy. I knew that that colony was supplied electricity. They were happy. Exactly after 3 months, the same group I saw in front of my office. And this time again, they were shouting slogans. So I was wondering what happened because nobody came and thanked me. I found out that like all colony had been supplied electricity. This time their demand was something different. So again, the same set of people, three of them came. And this time I looked at him, I recognized, I said, "Oh, you belong to that colony, right?" "Yes." "I remember you had some electricity issue, right?" I remembered. So he said, "Yeah." "So what happened to that? Has it happened?" "Yeah, yeah, sir, we got electricity." I said, "But you never came and thanked me." "Yeah, yeah, I know, sir, but we have other set of demands." Nobody comes to thank you, by the way. They come with problems. It is solved or not solved, they never say thank you. Out of 100 people come to you, not even 5 will come back and say thank you because of you, job was done. And we get used to this. This time, so I said, "What is your new demand?" He said, "Sir, we have a well which is about 100 meters away and we want this well to be placed near my house." This time, I blew up. I lost my temper. I got up from my chair and threw this fellow out. I said, "Bloody fellow, get out of my house. Never ever come to me. 100 meters you can't go and get your water. You expect the government to do everything in your house? Now get out of it. You're a thankless bloody fellow." So all kind of fellows you meet. Another incident which happened in my very first 6 months of posting was I was also managing director of small cooperative society with tribal farmers. We were growing cardamom and coffee plantations there. It was new experience because I had also not seen cardamom, how it is grown, how coffee is grown, massive trees, tribal forest. Anytime a new officer is posted, there are some people who will always be challenging them, always challenging their authority or testing them, let us say. So, my second or third visit, I was sitting inside my office and I had 1,000 people outside shouting slogans again. And this is typical of Kerala because shouting slogan is a very, very common thing there. People always demanding something or the other, something which you don't see it in the north. So this time they were shouting slogans. Most of them I don't understand. Now only two slogans I understood. One was in Malayalam they said Vishwas Mehta, Vishwasam Ilya. I think you can also understand. There is no faith in Vishwas Mehta. Vishwas Mehta में विश्वास नहीं है. This is what they were telling. This is the only slogan I understood. Second slogan which I understood out of 100 slogans they were shouting was chicken biryani കഴിക്കാൻ കാശുണ്ട് ശമ്പളം കൊടുക്കാൻ കാശില്ല. Means chicken biryani खाने के लिए पैसा है. You have money to buy chicken biryani and eat it, but you don't have money to give us wages because they were demanding higher wages. Now, I don't know what happened. After the slogan shouting or something, the leader came inside along with two people to present the memorandum to us. And I was so angry. I was so angry. I was 26-year-old. I was an IPS. I was 15, 20 kilos less than this. You can imagine a tall guy, fresh from the police service. I just picked up his collars and lifted him in air. And he didn't, I was very angry. I said, "No, shouting, except hitting him. I did everything to him. "Hey, bloody fellow, how did you say Vishwas Mehta, Vishwas Mehta? How dare you call by my name? You should have said Managing Director Vishwas Mehta." That is fine. Sub Collector Vishwas Mehta, no problem. Vishwas Mehta, how dare you use my name? You are laughing. I was not laughing. I was angry. Today I laugh at it. Second thing I said, chicken biryani, I am a vegetarian. How did you say chicken biryani? Now, this was basically a very immature reaction to a crisis situation. They are provoking you, you are getting provoked, but you should understand the consequences of this. Now, this man was very scared because he never expected this response from sub collector. There are 1,000 people outside. All he had to do is to tell them that sub collector is harassing me or beating me or assaulting me, and these 1,000 people could have killed me on that day, right? Because crowd doesn't follow a logic. You don't argue with a crowd. You cannot argue with a crowd. It has no reason. It has no logic. Crowd goes by mob fury. It goes by emotions. My leader has been assaulted. They will respond back. They will attack you back. So that was a very stupid thing I did that day. I was trying to use a cannon to kill a rat. एक चूहे को मारने के लिए I was using a तोप. What happens when you fire a cannon to kill a rat? Whole neighborhood will come to know because there is a large noise. Boom. What happens to the rat? He runs away. He hides in a hole. And people will laugh at you. Why? Because rat has not been killed. Noise has been made and you have overreacted. How do you kill a rat? Poison him. He will not even know. Rat disappears. He eats the laddu with poison and vanishes forever. So aggression is not a good idea. Never ever get provoked in a life. Aggressive behavior will always meet with aggression. Instead, in administration, we have to learn with being assertive. Assertive. Without losing your anger, without getting provoked. What I did that day was a stupid thing. And this was an important lesson which I learned within 6 months of my joining, that never ever do the stupidity by losing your temper and reacting to a crowd which can always finish you then and there. So rest of my entire career, 30, 35 years career, handling various assignments, even though I was angry, I never reacted this way. I did it I handled the same situation in a different way, in an assertive way, not in an aggressive way.
As Kerala's Chief Secretary during COVID-19, what was your toughest decision and key takeaways?
See, there was no protocol for COVID. Nobody knew how to handle COVID because Kerala, if you recall, was the first state to get COVID patient.
Hmm.
From Wuhan, a girl student came directly to Kerala. That is the first COVID case in India. It happened in Kerala. So the rest of India had no idea about this. Nobody knew what this virus can do, how to control it, how to give him treatment. Nobody had any idea. They had no protocols. What medicines to give, how to isolate them, how to quarantine them, how to ensure that it doesn't spread. I was Health Secretary of Kerala before becoming Chief Secretary many years ago. So I had some idea about health protocols to be followed in case of epidemics or in case of deadly viruses. We had cases of Nipah virus. Nipah virus is spread by bats and highly contagious. Highly contagious. It's one person can multiply by four, four can multiply by six. So we had learned the technique of surveillance. If you have got a virus, how many more people you met within next 2 days? And those next 4 days, those 5 people have met how many more people? So you start observing each one of them and isolate them and ensure that they don't meet further. They don't spread it further. You understand? If one person has met 5 people, 5 people have met another 25 people. So total 125, 200 people, you identify them, observe them. If they have any fever, any symptoms or something, and isolate them so that they don't meet further people. This was the protocol which we started following for COVID even before Government of India knew how to do with COVID. Just surveillance, watching these people and isolating them and quarantining them. If they have not been infected, then keep them out because 1 week incubation period was there. So Nipah virus experience has actually taught us how to deal with COVID. And gradually, COVID spread rest of the country, and a lot of people from abroad were coming to us. We were watching the airports, we were watching the railway stations, we were watching the bus stations, road areas, all the borders. We were watching everything, and we had teams for testing everywhere. Rest of India, everybody was there, but we also developed our own surveillance system. One thing which I realized in COVID is that the biggest problem is that COVID was not so deadly as people thought of. The mortality rate was not very high. The problem was that the numbers were very high. 100 people can make 1 lakh people infectious, and 1 lakh can make it 10 lakh people infectious. Now, out of that, even if 1% people die or land up into trouble, then the numbers will be very harsh. That was the challenge. It was the numbers which was the challenge, not the mortality part of it. And the second biggest challenge was how to save the hospitals and hospital staff from getting infected. Because if all 1 lakh people or 10 lakh people land up in hospitals, then hospital everybody will be getting infected and they will not be able to treat anybody. And there was no need for everybody to go to hospital, honestly, because 90% of the cases, the virus will die down within 1 week or 10-15 days if isolated. Only 1% out of them will have respiratory difficulties and will land into ventilator or into serious medical issues. So, how do you save the hospitals? How do you ensure that these 1 lakh or 10 lakh people do not land up in hospitals? So, one first thing which we did is, since the colleges, schools, hospitals, community centers, everything was closed because of the lockdown. So, we converted every panchayat, every institutional building, every government building into COVID prevention centers. So, suppose you or your family feels you have a fever or COVID symptoms, you will not go to hospital. You are not allowed to go to hospital. We had volunteers to ensure that you will land up in that building first, you will be kept isolated and you will be watched. So 1 week, fever subsides down, you become all right, you test again, you go back home. In 1 week, if out of 100 people living in that COVID center in separate room in isolation or in quarantine, then suppose 2 people have got serious, they have respiratory difficulties, we rush them to the hospital. That is how we isolated the hospitals from only cases which are required treatment and not everybody reaching there. You understand? So COVID strategy of handling in Kerala was very different from what rest of country was doing. And the reason is not because something which I did or what Kerala did. It was basically because Kerala's infrastructure in health infrastructure is far ahead of any state. It is 20-25 years ahead of us. It has such huge infrastructure and such huge facilities that many states cannot even imagine. Rural country cannot imagine. It is far ahead. It is like European standards, I will say that. And second thing we did was that we ensured that we should have sufficient oxygen. This is before the second wave hit, that is the Delta virus. Delta virus, if you remember in Delhi, people were dying of lack of oxygen and oxygen cylinders were not available, if you remember. A lot of people died in cars because the oxygen could not be given, because oxygen was in low supply. We had started preparing for this 6 months in advance. I knew that people will die for lack of oxygen. If a person develops respiratory difficulties, all you have to do is to give him oxygen and it will save his life, 90% of the time. So I started looking at our medical colleges, hospitals, and we started monitoring how much oxygen they can produce. And if not, set up oxygen making plants and started storing them. And every day we started watching our hospitals to find out how much oxygen is being consumed in various hospitals on various patients, how many patients are there on the ventilators in every hospital in every district. Every day we were getting numbers and every day we were monitoring. I have not seen lockdown. I was in office throughout. You people might be sitting at home, but I was in office. And left, right, people were becoming COVID positive. Now, it is not only about health issues, about COVID, let me tell you. You people need food. Where will this come from? You can't go to a restaurant. You cannot drive out. You cannot travel. You have medical problems in your house. Your father or mother or your relative has become sick. It has to be taken. How do they go? There are no transport available. There are old people who cannot go anywhere. They have to be supplied some things. And most importantly, what about rations? What about rice, everyday provisions which you get? How do you ensure that there are no food riots? And then about migrant laborers. There are 5 lakh migrant laborers who are without job, without money, and sitting in the labor camps. And their average age was 21, 22 years age. And they cannot go back to West Bengal from here. So how do you ensure that they don't starve and they don't come out on the streets agitating that I want to go home, like it happened in many other states? So we have 24 by 7 several control rooms working round the clock in the secretariat and every district which was handling this epidemic, so that communications are there all the time. If somebody falls sick, we had a contingency plan to ensure that others take over their place. And also to ensure that everybody doesn't fall sick. Whole administration should not be falling sick because our ministers becoming COVID positive. So first thing I told my chief minister is that you please don't come to secretariat. I will come and brief you in your house because house everybody will not come and meet you. Secretariat people will keep coming to see the chief minister. Ministers in office, they also may be carrying infection. And when I used to go and meet the chief minister, he used to call me in his bedroom, but I said, no, sir, we'll sit in the hall. He used to sit in the far off place and I used to sit here. Suppose I'm infected, chief minister should not become infected. So these are basic things which no textbook had ever told. No government of India, no protocols were there. They had to follow by the natural examples. And very soon we found that Kerala was far ahead of others. Other states were not able to handle it, but we were far ahead of it. And educated people makes a big difference. We set up community kitchens everywhere. We ensured that the old people get all the supplies. There are no food riots. When the train started, we started sending these people back by observing COVID protocols. So it was a very challenging time. 2 years during COVID time, and every day my peon or my PA or my driver or my gunman, they were becoming COVID positive. Every second day, you have X person becoming, Y person becoming. There are people who are working with you day to day basis. So every day my room will be fumigated. I'm standing outside. My room will be fumigated after half an hour again. I come back and sit. Well, then you realize another person has become. Again you throw people out, again fumigate it, again come back. Because what was the option? You are dealing with a pandemic which has affected the whole world and there are no easy solutions. You understand? So it was a crisis management which we had no choice but to handle, and we did it very well. I am really glad to inform you that I got several national and international awards because of this. Because we could save thousands and thousands of lives, thousands of lives. Sitting 16 hours to 18 hours in my office during lockdown, it was worth it because we saved lives. I don't know how many, but thousands and thousands of lives. So I'm really proud of this fact. Sitting 16 hours to 18 hours in my office during lockdown, it was worth it because we saved lives. I don't know how many, but thousands and thousands of lives. So I'm really proud of this fact.
What qualities and skills should young people develop towards technology for social change and influence policy?
See, when we joined the civil services 40 years ago, there were no STD phones. There were no cell phones, no mobile phones. There was no internet. There were no computers.
Nothing was there.
None of us were trained in computers. The very, you may not even have, you cannot even imagine that first few computers we ever saw had punch cards. Have you heard of that? There used to be cards which used to have punch. Have you seen those uh, big computers with the floppies?
Yes.
Those days you have seen. And then CDs came. USBs came much later on. Fax machines arrived after we joined the service. First time when a fax was installed in my office, I was surprised. I said, how come a document come by telephone line? It was super convenient to us because we had seen only cyclostyle machines. There were no electronic typewriters. They were manual typewriters. If you make a mistake, you have to type all over again. Then came the electronic typewriters where you could edit it. And then, of course, the computers. Today, you dictate and it types. So technology has evolved over the years.
Yes.
I remember when the first time I saw what is that called that small thing which is called where the this thing used to come on small. What is it called?
Keypad.
Not keypad. What is that? Initially, it used to come now when please call reception. Then message will flash on that. pager.
pager. Okay.
First time I saw a pager, you know how much it costed? The pager, small thing which used to beep used to cost 1 lakh.
Oh,
1 lakh was the cost of pager. But that technology nobody had seen. Now you just see where technology has reached. So technology will keep evolving over the years, but all this ultimately should be used for benefiting people, right?
yes.
If today, for remitting a tax of 5 rupees, if a person has to take a full day leave and go to the village office 50 kilometers away to pay a tax of 5 rupees on his land, what's the use of that technology? So, as revenue secretary, first thing I did is that let his whole day not go waste. 5 rupees is meaningless, but it's an important document for him, land receipt, because that provides him the evidence of ownership of that property. Once in a year he does it, but his 1 day is gone. Deposit that 5 rupees in that. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So why can't this be done online? There was no online systems. Today, in various village offices and Tahsil office and collector's office, you have a lot of online systems. All this technology evolvement has happened over the years. It was not happened overnight, constantly. And many of us learned how to use computers, even though we were not trained, and we used it to the best advantage of people. So, what is required in public service is the commitment to ensure that you deliver goods and services to people without any corruption, without any pilferage. That's most important.
Okay.
Because technology is of use only if it is not disruptive, only when it is constructive, when it helps people down below, right?
Sir, if you could just give one message to the upcoming generation of public servants and change makers, what would it be?
See, let me tell you, we are a great country, no doubt about it. We have the best advantage of being the youngest country in the world. Demographic dividend. We have youngest population in the world. While world all over Europe is aging, Japan is aging, whole lot of people are aging. With less number of people, young children, we can be service providers to them. Everybody will not become a doctor or engineer or a IT professional. A whole lot of people who can be service providers, healthcare providers, technicians, middle level jobs, hundreds and thousands of them are there, which we can provide to the rest of the world. Our demographic dividend of being the youngest population in the world can be an asset if we are educated and skilled. And it's a liability if you are uneducated and doing nothing and contributing nothing. So, my message to the young people is this: if you want to make this country a great country, don't think about yourself, you also think about the country. What are you going to give back? Not now. Right now, you might be searching for a job or you're trying to establish a business or entrepreneurship or a startup or something like that. Or maybe thinking of going abroad or doing MBA and all that. Okay, choose your career. But 10 years from now, once you have settled down, you have established a family, when you are comfortable, please also think what I have given back to the country. Have I given even 1% back? A doctor who studies under subsidized education in government medical colleges, if he goes abroad, it's a waste to the nation. He is only thinking about himself. He is not giving back to the nation. But if he comes back and works in rural areas and helps poor patients, he is giving it back. An IT professional, after getting his MBA, goes and works in US. It's a waste to the nation because he is not giving anything back. If he works there for 10, 15 years, comes back and does some innovation and makes some difference in the lives of people here, it's a contribution. And a whole lot of people are doing it. So let us not think only about ourselves or our family. Also think of our nation also.
Yes.
Then only this nation will become great. So that's my message to the young people, that you are blessed with things which we had not seen. We had no choice but to read physical books. We had no digital world. We had no cell phones. We had no internet. We had no mobile phones. We had no communication networks the way you have today. So use this technology to help people. and ensure that more and more people get benefited by this. Not only you or your family, but people. This area, the school where you studied, the village where you were born, have you made any difference? Once you become a millionaire, once you are become a prosperous, have you made any difference in that school where you studied? Or is that school same 15 years? What was there 15, 20 years ago? It still has the same blackboard or same stupid bench.
Same things.
Have you made any difference? If not, then why not? That's my question. So give back to society, because ultimately in the world, honors, rewards, achievements, respect will come only to people who do not receive from society but give it back. Unless you give it back, nobody will respect you. Nobody will honor you. Nobody will remember you. So that's my message to the young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time and advice. And to the viewers and audience, thank you for staying tuned with us. Until then, see you in the next podcast with another great leader. Thank you.